Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Welcome to Atomo. It is Monday, January 16th, 2023, and let's talk about cars. We're talking about clean air in the last video, and I took a look around because the lizard people at the WEF are meeting and they have a lot to talk about. So let's take a look at car ownership that's going around. Let's pull up here. So this is an article from the WE forum. So that's the WEF. I zoom up here. So let's note that it's December 16th, 2016. But some of these things take time to work its way through the pipes and start. So there's many different technologies that come into play in order to get us to saying goodbye car ownership. Just a note, while I was looking at this, the fact checkers are out there saying, well, no, they didn't really say that we're getting rid of car ownership. I had to scratch my head on that one. Perhaps it's nuance, so I'll unpack some of the nuance here. So one of the things to note when they talk about the ride sharing app, and I'm going to put pieces together here. Uber and Lyft. So the idea is if we can come up with autonomous vehicles, and the idea is if the car is primarily sitting idle, um, oh yeah, feeding electricity back into the electric grid. Let's put an asterisk on that. Hopefully I remember to get back to that. Okay, so there's a lot of it paints a picture that there's a lot of benefits here. The first thing is that a car primarily sits idle. When you're not using it, it sits and takes up space. Okay, so I'm not for or against this one really. I'm just going to bring this forward and just talk about this. The concept of ride sharing apps gives us a way to keep the asset operating or keep it working. So, for example, in the other part of a rideshare app is should we have autonomous vehicles, we have the platform for you to order the vehicle and to have a trip. Okay. Right now, we need a meat layer, which is the human to drive the car at this point. But in the future, when all the bugs are working and worked out of the autonomous stuff, then it's perhaps the Uber and Lyft can summon you autonomous vehicles. So, but also the Uber and Lyft, even though they don't pay a huge heck of a lot, and if you got a vehicle and you love driving people around, you got some free time, then you can use your vehicle and drive people around. Okay, fair enough. So another piece that they put into the puzzle here is blockchain enabled transactions. So you don't need centralized authority such as, well, there's find a way that perhaps we can cut out the payment services out of the system. So the overall, what they're trying to do is paint a picture on how we can make this an efficient system to rent out the vehicles. Now, one of the things to note when we look at using blockchain or digital currencies is we have to go to the concept of the central bank digital currency. If you haven't heard about that, just give it a search. It's been talked about quite a bit during the COVID era, especially once COVID hit and the Great Reset book came out, and a lot of the European banks want to have a digital currency. Don't think of it as money, think of it more as tokens or tickets that allow you to have stuff. Not necessarily they're giving you money to purchase stuff, they're basically giving you vouchers. So in this particular case, the moment you have a blockchain system for the vehicle, then you can potentially be issued vouchers in order to have trips. Um, if vehicle ownership is still a thing, and we have to look at the level that inflation is going, at the way car prices are going, some people may get locked out of. I know I live in Vancouver, so um, some people may not have enough money or the space to put the vehicle. Therefore, they join the ride sharing programs, which there are numerous here in Vancouver. You can rent a car, go out to special parking lot spaces where you can grab the car. And if you're a member, you can take a trip in the car, or you just rent it out for the day so you can plan when you need to do stuff. What it does, though, it takes away a bit of that independence and spontaneity. And that's asterisk number two. Here is independence and spontaneity is something that the globalists don't want you. They don't want you to have that. Uh, the ability to have an independent vehicle means you can move around. You're not subservient to the system. You can organize in different ways that may not be in the best interest of the system that they're trying to design. They need you playing in the pen in a particular way in order to keep the apparatus running. And yeah, so there's, if the dial gets shifted all the way to, and you heard that thing, you will own nothing and be happy. If that's the way that the dial gets pushed all the way, that's be very unfortunate. I do see the need that as our cities grow and change and evolve, I could transit systems take a lot of money to build, but if you were to just be able to hop on a car and go and do that somewhat cheaply, great. Just don't expect privacy in that vehicle in any manner whatsoever. You know, the the idea of having a private vehicle, and that vehicle, especially in the USA, because their vehicle, from what I understand, is, because again, I'm Canadian, not American, but I understand that. I believe it's Amendment number 4, that you're protected against unlawful or unwarranted search and seizure, and your vehicle is a private place. So your vehicle can actually be a speakeasy as long as it's not one of those electronic ones that has all kinds of stuff inside. If it's the old style, maybe carburetor still, no network systems in it, and you don't bring your phone in it, you got kind of maybe a secure place to have conversations. Heaven forbid that we're thinking about that in this day and age. Yeah, because especially, if you cooked your 5 portions of meat over the week and you're only have vouchers for 2 portions, and the car detects you eating meat in it, oh boy, the car will shut down, lock itself, and then the authorities will be there to issue your meat eating citation. Yeah, welcome to the dystopia. So that's primarily what I worry about, and that's why I'm making a big fuss about this stuff. Don't want to be in a kind of Stasi style East Germany where 1 in 3 people are informants, and for them to level up in society, they just need to snitch on you, and then you basically take your stuff. Oh, you got the great apartment block. Oh, you have a class 3 apartment block. The only way for me to get a class 3 apartment block is because I'm next in line, is to get that family out of it. So I'll figure out some rule that they break, snitch on them, they get knocked out, and then congratulations, I level up. Ooh, yeah. Not a good system. It's Orwell 1984. Now, some of the problems with this. So we talked about the blockchain. And of course, I remember to put an asterisk in one of these. Yeah, oh yes, the feeding of electricity back to the grid. Oh, notice that electric vehicles have a battery in them. So I'm going to take a step away from the actual car thing for a moment. If you have a battery in the car and you charge that battery, let's go dystopian. So one of the, okay, well, prior to going dystopian, one of the things is, well, if I could charge the car battery during low power, like if you have rates, just say there's an evening rate and I can charge that car battery. And then what I would think would be neat is if I can disconnect or switch my grid over within my house and run off the car battery during maybe peak periods, then there's a way that I could potentially save money. The dystopian element of it is somebody pushes a switch, says, "Oh, power consumption is going to be too great today. Either it's really, really cold or it's really, really hot. You'd run air conditioners, heaters when it's cold. And we don't have enough capacity within the power grid. All of you have cars charged to 80% or higher. We are now commandeering those cars as part of the terms and service of actually running and operating this vehicle. So therefore, your car shut down and your battery is now providing electricity back into the grid." And do you think that you would get compensated for the appropriate amount of power? I wouldn't keep my hopes up. But if you provide that power back, you might get additional social credit score, and then you get additional vouchers, and maybe you can offset one of your meat days and get 3 meat days a week instead of 2 meat days a week. So, hey, look at this photo of India's overcrowded railways. So if you can't have private car ownership and you have public transport and public transport's not being updated fast enough, I think Vancouver, the SkyTrain system, if we were to shut down a lot of the car activity or ability, this is what the Vancouver SkyTrain would turn into real quick. And yeah, well, hey, but you get to experience life that is lived in other places in the world, you privileged nuts. But you get to live like India does. It's kind of the dystopian world that they're pushing us towards. Um, the better way is if these things are slowly introduced so we can check the systems. But if they want to push this by 2030 to upgrade public transit systems is a long and onerous process, especially here in Canada. Maybe that's why our prime minister likes the Chinese government. He's on video saying that because they can just ram through whatever they want and expropriate property where they need to put in the systems and in things that they need for their smart cities. So, and this is something that you can look forward to if we completely change the way that our vehicle ownership works without having the appropriate infrastructure to help people move and go about their days in this type of manner. So this is our hope. This is where Atomo and then a miracle occurred that we hope that, are we going to live like this? My hope is not. My hope is there's choices. If you want to live in a smart city and have amenities like this article is suggesting, then maybe there's a place for it. If there's people who want to drive independent vehicles, then let's make sure that there's a place for that as well. Until next time, have a good one.